Getting onto the sort of elephant in the room, Mr. Aaron Cresswell was massively underperformed probably now for a number of seasons. And I think, I don't know if you agree with me here, but it has got to that point where he needs to be replaced. Personally, I think he needs to be replaced by someone who's defensively sound. We're in a really odd position where Cresswell isn't bad going forward, isn't great. He has lost that ability he used to have. We used to stay wide, get brilliant crosses in. Then you've got Masuaku, who's fantastic at dribbling. He's got great pace, but can't defend either. And I think what was refreshing when even Ben Johnson played left back, even though it's not his natural position, we looked like a different team, and we looked a little bit more comfortable at the back with a decent defensive fullback.
Yeah, completely. The thing is, Ben Johnson's not eye-catchingly quick like Masuaku is. He doesn't have that as much flair about him, but he can use either feet. And I saw, I was like, oh, you're going to cut inside here because he was at left back, but he actually, cut inside to his other foot with his left foot and crossed it in, and he's both-footed. And that's, that was refreshing to see in a way because Cresswell's very one-dimensional. You know what he's going to do. You know what Masuaku was going to do as well. And like you said, I think it's got to that stage now where he needs replacing. He was very good in his first season, but that's because he didn't have pressure on his shoulders. He played in a free roam under Allardyce. He was willing to express himself. But now, I just think, unless you're going to play him in a 5 at the back, maybe as a left centre back, I think.
Oh, no chance, mate.
I think he needs replacing.
No chance as a left centre back. I'm sorry, but he absolutely bottled it when Burnley scored. When I think it was Jay Rodriguez scored that header. I looked at it again and I thought, what are you doing? Like, you either put your head onto it, or you just don't do anything. You don't sort of go there and then shirk back a little bit like he did. And that's the only time I actually thought he's lost his bottle. And I think that's the worst thing for a defender to have.
Yeah, he has completely. And against Rodriguez, right, he could have hooked it away. He was in a stronger position than Rodriguez. Yeah. Rodriguez was a yard behind him. Cresswell had the impetus to hook it away, and under no pressure. But Rodriguez came in and Cresswell bottled it. And at the end of the day, that's where West Ham lack in their defensive, fullback positions. The fact that they're out of position. Diop and Agbona have to cover, which means they're out of position as well. And then the opponents should just exploit from there. That's the main problem, our fullbacks. Until we rectify them, we won't progress.
I completely agree. And I think it's one of those areas that has been massively underinvested in, probably since David Gold and Sullivan have been there. I can't really remember. The only time I remember us being really competent from those positions was when we had Aaron Cresswell's first season and Carl Jenkinson, and they both played really attacking. They got forward a lot, and that's how we created most of our chances for Sacco and Valencia. But since then, we've had Antonio have to cover right back numerous occasions. We've had, I can't even remember, to be honest. It's just, they just blur into one. They're not competent. And obviously you brought in Masuaku, and I think people thought, why have we brought in a second left back here? And then unfortunately we've ended up with kind of a left back that isn't a left back and a left back that's lost his form. And that's why I was so annoyed when they gave him a new contract, Aaron Cresswell, in October, because he had 2 or 3 good games in a team that was playing very, very well, and he had license to get forward. And he took his chances. There's some brilliant goals in there, but there's something fundamentally wrong if you're offering a player a 3-year extension just because they've scored 2 goals in like 5 games. To me, it's just really short-sighted.
Exactly. When at the end of the day, Cresswell's one of them where he costs us with his defensive positioning. And like you said Gold and Sullivan, they've only spent, I don't even think they've spent upwards of 20 million on fullbacks since they've arrived. They've been loans or they've been free agents. Guy Demel, I think, was about 2 million quid. I think he was free, yeah. I think he was a free agent. And Guy Demel was solid, don't get me wrong, but Masuaku, he was from Olympiacos. Cresswell was from Ipswich Town. This Montiel bloke rafters from River Plate in Argentina. Because we know Sullivan loves the South American signing. But at the end of the day, if you want to progress in fullback positions, you need to look at the likes of Rico Henry, Ryan Manning. You need to look at them types of players that have experience in the English leagues, because it's a massive gamble looking at overseas and thinking they'll fit him all right, because it's a massive gamble.
So before we sort of got onto this episode, you telling me a little bit about Anthony Robinson. Now, I can't profess to know too much about him. All I know is AC Milan were even looking at him. I think it was in January, and that fell through. So can you give everyone a little bit of a insight into the player, and do you think he could make a step up to West Ham?
I do. He actually failed his medical at AC Milan because I think he had a physical problem, which is what we're concerned about as well. If we do get to that stage of he needs a medical, but in terms of a player, I'm actually a media intern at Wigan, so I've been to a lot of games to see him. He's a very good ball carrier. He's very good going forward. He's got unbelievable pace. But his ability to get out of tight situations is good as well. Sometimes Cresswell and Masuaku, they panic under pressure, they lose the ball, and then the opposition break from there. Robinson's one of them. He's got a good eye for a pass, and he's very sound defensively as well. Maybe he needs to improve defensively. Do I worry about him adapting to the Premier League? Maybe, because he'll be up against good wingers, fast wingers like of Salah, etc. But he can keep up with Salah, no problem. Robinson's a very fast fullback. I just think aerially he's good as well. Aerially he's good. His tackling's good. He's a good ball carrier. He'll fit the billing well. And for the quoted price, I think he's a good signing and something someone we should look at. I just think there is some concerns naturally, but there's concerns with every player you sign. And I think under Moyes, he would adapt well. He's 22 years old. He's American. And he's someone we should look at for sure.
I think, do you know what? I think the profile fits, and obviously we love an attacking fullback, and it's good to see. Obviously, you touched a little bit on how would he cope defensively, and I think that always troubles me. And I don't know. I think actually West Ham maybe would benefit from two really solid defensive fullbacks, and sort of on the argument of, I mean, he could develop it. I'm not saying he wouldn't. I mean, he's obviously got the talent to do it. The only issue I have is we brought Ryan Fredericks in, and obviously he's got fantastic pace. And even if he loses the ball, he can just happens to get back every single time. But I think he's been found wanting this season of his defensive quality. So do you think someone like Anthony Robinson has the time to sort of progress in the Premier League? It'll be sort of a baptism of fire, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I do. Honestly, I do. I think with Fredericks, I look at him as he is a bit of a liability for West Ham, but at the same time, he's made 2.9 tackles per game, which is the second behind Declan Rice, who's made 3. So at the same time, you think Fredericks, he's a liability, he's all that. But I think to me, what's going on in my head is two minds with Fredericks, is that he can be very good going forward, but he's inconsistent, and we need a consistent player. Yeah. Robinson, does he draw a comparison with Fredericks? I'm not sure, honestly. Robinson's one of them where he's a very similar player to Fredericks. He's just left-footed. But do I think he'll progress more than Fredericks? Yes, I do. Yes, I do, because Fredericks is one of them where I think we need to get off the books. He's on high wages, etc., and he's too much of a liability to the team. Whereas Robinson would improve. He's got that mentality. And he's a strong ball carrier going forward, like Fredericks is. But I think Robinson's more defensively sound and has more capability to improve defensively than Fredericks was.
So, because obviously you mentioned you're an intern at Wigan. Obviously, it's really unfortunate what happened there as well with the whole situation. But do you think, are there massive differences with the way that Wigan like to play with West Ham? Because I'm just trying to think what sort of things would he sort of come across Robinson if he did join that he would maybe feel uncomfortable with doing, or is he going to be asked to do something that he's not necessarily familiar with?
I think there's some similarities, honestly. I think obviously it's a different league, but Robinson likes to overlap. And if we had someone like, Fornals who likes to come in centrally and Robinson can use his pace to overlap and get in behind the defence, I think he could cause a real threat, honestly, I do. Wigan like to play more of a long ball system. They like to pump it up to the forward in Kiefe more or whatever and get players in and around him. Similar to what we do sometimes to relieve the pressure. But I think we have more emphasis, and David Moyes has more emphasis on let's keep the ball a bit, let's play it on the ground, which Robinson's very capable of doing because he's, like I said, he can overlap, but he can also get himself out of tight situations with his pace or his agility, which Cresswell and Masuaku sometimes struggle with because they're And I think Robinson as well has a lot of physicality about him. You know, he's got a good frame on him, which is important for the Premier League. And defensively, he can improve, but I think he will.
So, on the issue of left backs, let's move to Mr. Ryan Manning, someone that a lot of West Ham fans seem to be excited about. I don't know whether it's because they've thrown Eze into the situation and said, "Oh, we'll take Manning as well." But I saw a stat saying the other day that he'd created 7 assists this season. So he's a fullback that likes to get forward. And how much more do you know about him, really? Because I'm a little bit sketchy on the Manning situation.
Of course, like you said, he was spot on. He's 7 assists and he's got 4 goals as well. He's versatile as well, Manning, which is what I think Moyes likes. He can play centre mid, he can play left mid as well. He's got a bit of pace about him. And he was the 5th most foul championship player this season with 85 fouls against him. Eze was 2nd for West Ham fans, so behind Pereira, I think it was. But Manning, no, he was at Rotherham on loan in 2018-19, which I think helped him massively. You know, because Rotherham like to play quite a physical system. It's a physical league as well that they're in now. So I think Manning's a good player. He's excelled with the likes of Eze next to him. He has, because he's been allowed to overlap, because Eze comes centrally. He's not a wide player, Eze. You know, he likes to come centrally as kind of a wide number 10, if you know what I mean, on the left, which allows Manning more room to exploit him behind and, you know, express his capabilities. But Manning's a versatile player. He can add a lot. He's got a good cross in him as well. He can score goals, and I think it's a good option to have.
I was just about to ask that. I was just going to ask about his delivery. I mean, when we're talking about his assists, are we talking about, are they made from the wide positions? Is it maybe set pieces? Where's his strength lie?
Wide positions. He likes to cross the ball and sometimes cut inside as well. He's predominantly left-footed. He's a bit like Cresswell in that sense. But he's different in the fact that, you know, if we sign someone like Eze, or, you know, we had Fornals that cut in centrally, Manning has, you know, room to express his capabilities, and most of his assists this season have been from crossing positions, or, you know, he can be useful from a set piece as well, which is what West Ham have lacked for a while. So,
yeah, I mean, I think we need, and we obviously addressed it with Robinson and Manning. We do need a quick fullback in that sense. Is he technically, in terms of ball carrying, is he good at that, or is he much more likes to get on the end of passes and then first time delivery, or is he happy to sort of move forward and? Sorry, mate, phone's going. Does he sort of like to get forward and sort of take his time and dribble past a few, or what type of left back is he?
He likes to get forward in the fact that he likes to link up play with Eze. You know, Eze comes inside. You know, they link up very well, both of them. But in terms of direct ball carrying, who's better? Robinson, for me.
Okay.
But at the same time, Manning's still a good player. And I understand West Ham fans' hype about him, because he's created goals this season. He's been involved in 11 goals directly this season, which is good for a QPR team. But at the same time, you know, if you ask me who would I sign out of both of them, Manning's more versatile. Robinson's younger. You know, they're both 2 very good players that I would like to see West Ham sign. But, you know, it would probably come down to one of them, and I'd probably choose Manning.
Really? Okay. So what type of transfer fee are we talking about for Manning? Is it in the 10 million range, or is it slightly less than that, do you think?
I'd say about £10 million range. Yeah, I would. I think QPR would look to get a bit more for him than he's actually valued at, because he has excelled this season, and that will naturally raise his transfer market value. So I think if you're looking at the region of £7 to £10 million, I think that'll be a good deal for QPR. And the Telegraph spoke about Manning before, and the fact that, you know, he's quoted at £20 million, but I think that's steep. It's a bit steep. So West Ham will look at, you know, maybe throwing Hugill in there like they did for Eze potentially, or if they do a double deal, I don't know. But I think Manning would be a good value for £10 million.
I think irrespective of what players sort of David Moyes plucks for, I think we have to use the bulk of whatever investment we're going to use on fullbacks. And I think I want it to be a situation where we're investing. If Manning is the right left back, by all means, pay the £10 million. If Robinson, if it's for £2 or £3 million or whatever, given Wigan's current situation, do it. I think this is the sort of skepticism that a lot of West Ham fans have is if we buy a player for cheap, is he actually any good? Do you know what I mean? And there's always kind of that feeling where you're getting shortchanged. But, I would rather see West Ham pay a premium on this defensive position and sort of progress there and start to build a bit of a team, because the pieces are there, but you have to get your defense right. And it's been such an issue for as long as I can remember.